Very good evening to dignitaries of the day. I sincerely welcome you all to the valedictory session for the two-day national seminar on economic reforms and the Indian Constitution, conflicts, contradictions, ways forward. In this context, now we have a very esteemed panel of guests today. I take this utmost opportunity to welcome the president of the session, Professor Chandra Mukherjee, Principal BDC Cheshire. May kindly come on to the dais and offer me. I also take this utmost opportunity to welcome the chief guest for the function, Professor B. Balakrishna Reddy sir, Chairman, Telangana Council of Higher Education, Hyderabad. May kindly come on to the dais and occupy the chair. I also take this utmost opportunity to welcome the distinguished guest today, Professor E. Revati Madam, Director, Center for Economic and Social Studies, Hyderabad. May kindly come on to the dais and occupy the chair. I also take this utmost opportunity to welcome the guest of honor for today's function, Professor Pallavi Kapte Madam, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. May kindly come on to the dais and occupy the chair. I also request the seminar director, Professor Patta Venkateshwara sir, may kindly come on to the dais and occupy the chair.
Madam back.
Now I request Dr. Malaya to please present a sampling to our chief guest today, Professor B. Balakrishna Reddy sir. I also request Dr. Srilakshmi Madam to please come here and present a sampling to our distinguished guest, Professor E. Revati Madam. Now I request the president of the session, Professor Chandra Mukherjee Madam, to kindly conduct further proceedings. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you all, and I welcome our respected chief guest, Professor Balakrishna Reddy sir, for giving his precious time here. I also welcome Professor E. Revati, Director, Center for Economic and Social Studies, Hyderabad. The guest of honor, Professor Pallavi Kapde, Dean, FSS, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. All the research scholars, the students, the teachers, the faculty members in and out of Hyderabad, I welcome all of you all to this pleasant evening and to the valedictory session of this national two-day seminar, Economic Reforms and the Indian Constitution, Conflicts, Contradictions and Ways Forward, which is organized by Department of Economics, Government Degree College, Chanchalguda, in collaboration with Department of Economics, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. I'm really happy that we had a successful day yesterday and today with so many deliberations, discussions on the pros and cons of the subject. Now we have come to the end of the session. So now I request Dr. Naveen Mula, IQSC Coordinator of G to present the report of the seminar.
Respected president of this valedictory session of today's national seminar on economic reforms, Indian Constitution, conflicts, contradictions, and ways forward. Being organized by Department of Economics, Government Degree College, Chechalgooda, in collaboration with Department of Economics, Dr. B.R. Open University. Respected president of this valedictory session, Professor Chandra President, and respected chief guest of this session, Professor BRAOU-Live, Chairman, Telangana Council of Higher Education, and distinguished guest for this valedictory session, Professor E. Revathi from Director Center for Economic and Social Studies, and guest of honor, Professor Pallavi Kamble, Dean, Faculty of Social Studies, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, and other guests on the dais, and on the dais, dear participants and students, a very good evening, all of you. This seminar was successfully organized by both Government Degree College, Chechalgooda, and B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Department of Economics. It is, as Professor Sir, in his presidential speech of inaugural session, rightly said, it is the first kind of collaboration event from B.R. Ambedkar Open University with the Government Degree College. We are very fortunate to be part of this program, and it is a successful commitment to this program. This seminar is aimed at to provide a platform for academicians, researchers, activists, and students to exchange ideas and discuss on the theme of this seminar. We can say it has an attempt to discuss results of our experiments which started 35 years ago. The program witnessed enthusiastic participation from various institutions across the country and various professions. There are advocates, there are journalists, there are housewives. The registration is a wide variety of participants are there who registered. The registrations reached to 202, making it a fruitful academic event. The seminar comments with a formal inaugural session presented by Honorable Vice Chancellor of B.R. Ambedkar University, Professor Ganda Chakrabarti sir, and inaugural address by Justice Sudarshan Reddy Garu, former Justice of Supreme Court of India. Professor Chakrabarti sir mentioned the seminar as part of Social Empowerment Week and mentioned B.R. Ambedkar Open University's vision, that is, including the excluded, reaching to the unreachable. So this platform is suitable for this kind of seminar. Sir also mentioned markets without morality is blind. On this theme of this seminar, Sir mentioned this quotation, and Sir ended his presidential speech in the inaugural session, giving famous B.R. Ambedkar's cultivation of mind is the ultimate goal of human existence. So this is the aim of this seminar. Justice Sudarshan Reddy sir, in his inaugural speech, highlighted the early economics reforms just after independence, and he gave historical background of Karachi Resolution, and sir majorly focused on the changes in democratic process being followed since 1947 to a recent period, and said socialism is part of Indian Constitution right from the beginning. And at the beginning, the discussions, the political as well as the discussions in the parliament are so democratic. He said many instances and many situations, and he ended saying nowadays altering basic documentation of the nation, that is constitution, reached a stage that it is done by voice votes, the parliament. And after that, Professor Prabhat Patnaik sir in his keynote address, he gave his keynote address in virtual mode. In his keynote address, sir started with a statement, a question. That is a question: what India in future should look like? With that question, he started, and he explained Dr. Ambedkar's vision towards economic development. And because of that vision, the 1% of Indian citizens having a share of 12% in Indian income in 1951 reached down to 6% in 1981. That is exactly before start of economic reforms. The share of top 1% people came down from 12% to 6%. But after implementation of economic reforms from 1981 to 2022, it again grown to 6% to 23%. That means the income of top 1% people is 23% of Indian income, Indian GDP. And wealth, Indian wealth is 40% of Indian wealth is at top 1%. Interestingly, Sir didn't end up his keynote address with only explaining the problems. He gave an ultimate solution. Actually, we need to take forward as a seminar output. That is, he encouraged to the citizens to demand for wealth tax and succession tax for these 1% people. Then all the problems which we are talking will be settled down. That is the message from Professor Prabhat Patnaik sir. And he mentioned the poverty statistics also. It is a very wonderful keynote address kick-started this in a fruitful way. Professor G. Pushpa Chakrabarti, Madam Director Academic Audit, B.R. Ambedkar Open University, graced the inaugural session as a guest of honor. And Professor K. Krishna Reddy, co-director of this seminar, also there in the seminar, and he mentioned the aim of this seminar in the inaugural session. The first day included 2 technical sessions. The theme of the first technical session is Indian Constitution Vision and Economic Reforms, Exploring the Tension, chaired by Professor E. Sudharani Men and Professor Srinivasulu Karni from Usmania University, Professor B. Anjaneti Garu from Acharya Nagarjuna University, Guntur, and Dr. A. Raghukumar, advocate, practicing advocate in High Court of Telangana, presented their papers. The second session, the theme of second session is Political Economy of Liberalization. It is chaired by Professor B. Anjaneti Garu and Professor R. V. Ramanamurthy and Dr. B. Nageshwar Rao sir from University of Hyderabad presented in offline mode, and Professor I. Timbani sir from University of Delhi presented in virtual mode. These sessions were interactive and enriched with meaningful discussions. In the day 2, technical session 3, the theme is Economic Reforms and Social Sector, chaired by Dr. Akunuri Murali Garu, Telangana Education Commission Chairman, and Sir gave his experience, vast experience, the eradication of rural poverty. Along with that, Dr. Adama Srinivas Reddy sir from Kakatiya Government College and Dr. Venkat Narayana sir from CES and Ms. P.J. Manavi from University of Chennai presented papers in this session. And technical session 4 theme is Economic Reforms, Caste, Gender and Labor. It is chaired by Dr. Sudha Gobaraju Garu, Department of Sociology, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. And in this session, Dr. T. Saujanya from Tata Institute of Social Sciences and Baker Vani from CES and Dr. Bindu and Glory Swarupa from Chinmaya Vishwavidyapith, Kerala presented papers. And in technical session 5, the theme is Economic Reforms and Institutional Autonomy, which is presided by Professor P. Venkatramana sir, retired principal of our Government Degree College, Chenchaguda. And Professor G. Vijay Kumar sir from University of Hyderabad, Dr. B. Vijay Kumar Garu from RBI Fellow, presented in offline mode, and Kunduri Veeraya Garu, editor of the While Telugu magazine, he presented in online mode. All these sessions are interactive and informative. The 2-day national seminar was successfully conducted with active participation, valuable contributions from all stakeholders. The event proved to be a significant academic endeavor, fostering knowledge exchange and research enthusiasm. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present report of this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naveen Ghulam, for that beautiful insights of the report of the seminar, where we came to know about the morality of Indian markets and very impressively how should India look like in future, a vision, was very well presented. And the one very interesting thing which we came to know is about the citizens' demand for wealth tax from the 1% elite people. Very impressively, the technical sessions took place in 1 and 2 regarding the constitution and the market development. And we really appreciate and admire that from different corners of Hyderabad and other states with very high profile from various universities have given their deliberations. So I truly congratulate in front of the chair, duly giving respect, that it was really truly a very wonderful seminar which had been taking place. So congratulations to the organizers once again. And now I request Professor Patta Venkateshwaralu, Seminar Director, to kindly address and give his words.
For the beginning of this afternoon function, Professor Chandra Mukherjee garu, my and our college principal, Ladies Chenchalaguda, today's chief guest, Professor B. Balakrishna Reddy garu, State Council Chairman of Higher Education, my teacher, today important other guest, Professor Revati garu, Director, guys. So, guest of honor, Professor Pallavi Kapde, Dean, so we are Ambedkar Open University. So, other respected guests and participants to paper presenters, I can give one clarification regarding my seminar topic. Seminar యొక్క టాపిక్ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఏంటంటే మీద కొంత స్థూలంగా చాలా బ్రీఫ్ గా కొంచెం చెప్పాను. వన్స్ అగైన్ మరోసారి చెప్పాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. ఇందాక ఒక ఆడియన్స్ లెఫ్ట్ ఐడియాలజీ రైట్ ఐడియాలజీ ప్రకారంగా మీరందరూ మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. ఆ రెండు ఐడియాలజీ చాలా కాంట్రాడిక్ట్ గా ఉంటాయి. ఈ రిఫార్మ్స్ అనే దాన్ని ఎందుకు వ్యతిరేకిస్తున్నారు అనే ఒక ప్రశ్న వచ్చింది. ఈ సెమినార్ టాపిక్ మీరు క్లియర్ గా చూడండి దయచేసి. ఇక్కడ లెఫ్ట్ రైట్ అని పెట్టలేదు. ఎకనామిక్ రిఫార్మ్స్ అండ్ ది ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్, భారత రాజ్యాంగం ప్రకారంగా ఈ రిఫార్మ్స్ ని మనం ఎలా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి అనేది సెమినార్ యొక్క ఇంటెన్షన్. మనకు తెలుసు, ఎలక్షన్ ముందు ప్రతి రాజకీయ పార్టీ మేము ఏం చేస్తామనేటటువంటి ఒక మేనిఫెస్టోని ప్రజల ముందు కడతాయి. కానీ జాతీయ ఉద్యమం, నేషనల్ కాంగ్రెస్, జాతీయ ఉద్యమానికి నాయకులైన కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ అది భారత ప్రజలకు మేనిఫెస్టో ఇచ్చింది. దట్ మేనిఫెస్టో ఈస్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్. దిస్ ఈస్ ద బేసిక్ పబ్లిక్ పాలసీ మేనిఫెస్టో ఆర్ డాక్యుమెంట్. మాకు ఏ పొలిటికల్ పార్టీ అనేది నాకు అనవసరం. ఐఎమ్ బాదరింగ్ అబౌట్ లెఫ్ట్ ఐడియాలజీ, ఐఎమ్ బాదరింగ్ అబౌట్ రైట్ ఐడియాలజీ, ఐఎమ్ బాదరింగ్ ఓన్లీ కాన్స్టిట్యూషనల్ ఐడియాలజీ. సో కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ రాజ్యాంగం ఈ దేశ ప్రజలకు ఏం ఇచ్చింది, ఏమని చెప్పింది, ఏం ఇచ్చింది, ఏం జరుగుతా ఉంది, ఇది కదా చర్చించాల్సింది మనం. మీరు లెఫ్టా రైటా, మీరు ఏ డీఎల్స్ లో మాట్లాడతారనేది మాకు ఎందుకంటే ప్రజలకు రాజ్యాంగం మాకేమి ఇచ్చింది అనేది మాకు కావాలి, ఏం జరుగుతుందనేది కావాలి. ఈ రాజ్యాంగం యొక్క 76 years తర్వాత ఈ దేశంలో జరిగినటువంటి మార్పులు, డెవలప్మెంట్, ప్రజల యొక్క వెల్బీయింగ్ ఏంటనేది జరగాల్సింది. కాబట్టి ఇది ఈ సెమినార్ యొక్క ఇంటెన్షన్. ఇంకొక రెండు పాయింట్స్ నేను క్లారిఫై చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. ఇటీవల కాలంలో రాజ్యాంగం ఏర్పాటు అయినప్పుడు, అమల్లోకి వచ్చినప్పుడు, రాజ్యాంగం ప్రియాంబుల్లో సోషలిస్ట్ అనే పదం కానీ సెక్యులర్ అనే పదం కానీ లేవు. తర్వాత వాటిని చొప్పించారు. కాబట్టి రాజ్యాంగం ప్రారంభం లేనటువంటి ఆ 2 పదాలను తీసేయాలనేటువంటి ఒక రకమైన ప్రచారం ప్రజెంట్ పొలిటికల్ సినరీలో ఒక డిబేట్ జరుగుతా ఉంది. ఇది తెలుసు. రాజ్యాంగంలో సోషలిస్ట్ పదం ఎప్పుడు వచ్చింది, ఎప్పుడు చొప్పించారు, సెక్యులరిజం ఉందా లేదా అనే పాయింట్స్ ఒక ప్రశ్నగా కరెక్టే. కానీ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ స్టార్టింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ 1948 ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పాలసీ రెజల్యూషన్ అండ్ 1956 ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పాలసీ రెజల్యూషన్ ఏమని చెప్పాయి? మౌలిక పరిశ్రమల బేసిక్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ మొత్తం కూడా పబ్లిక్ సెక్టార్ అనేది ఉంటాయని చెప్పింది. సెకండ్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పాలసీలో ఏమన్నారంటే మేజర్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ మొత్తం కూడా పబ్లిక్ సెక్టార్ లో పెడుతున్నాం, అక్కడక్కడ కొన్ని ఇండస్ట్రీస్ మొత్తం ప్రైవేట్ సెక్టర్ ఇస్తున్నమాట చెప్తూ అవసరమైతే ఈ ప్రైవేట్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ ను కూడా టేకన్ ఓవర్ చేస్తుంది గవర్నమెంట్ అనే మాటలు కూడా సెకండ్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పాలసీని కల్పించింది. ఈ పాలసీలు ఏమని చెప్తున్నాయి? ఈ దేశం యొక్క ఎకానమీని అప్పుడు సోషలిస్ట్ పదం ఇంకా రాజ్యాంగంలో రాలే, కానీ ఆ పాలసీలు ఏం చెప్తున్నాయి అంటే ఇండియన్ ఎకానమీ అనేది సోషలిస్ట్ ప్యాటర్న్ ఆఫ్ సిస్టమ్ గా ఆ 2 పాలసీలు ప్రకటించాయి. ఎందుకు ఆ రోజు పబ్లిక్ సెక్టార్ లోనే ఈ మేజర్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ ని ఉండాలని చెప్పారు? ఎందుకు వాళ్ళ ఇంటెన్షన్ ఏంటి అంటే ఈ దేశం ఒక 200 years పాటు విదేశీ పాలనలో మగ్గింది, కాబట్టి మన సామర్థ్యతని, మన దేశం యొక్క సార్వభౌమత్వాన్ని కాపాడుకోవాలంటే, మన దేశం ఇండిపెండెంట్ గా డెవలప్ కావాలంటే పబ్లిక్ సెక్టార్ అనేది మన కాళ్ళపై నిలబడేటటువంటి ఎకానమీ సిస్టమ్ అవసరమైనటువంటి గుర్తించి ఆ రకంగా ఇండస్ట్రియల్ పాలసీ అనే దాన్ని డిజైన్ చేశారు. ఇది ఇంటెన్షన్. కానీ ఇది ఒక పాయింట్. కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ మీరు తీసుకోండి. కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఏమంటుంది? ఈక్వాలిటీ. ఏమి ఈక్వాలిటీ? పొలిటికల్, సోషల్ అండ్ ఎకనామిక్ ఈక్వాలిటీ అమాంగ్ ది పీపుల్ అనేటువంటి ఒక హామీని రాజ్యాంగం ఇచ్చింది. 76 years ఆఫ్ ఇండిపెండెన్స్ ఇది రాజ్యాంగం అమలు తర్వాత మరి ఏ రకమైన ఇలా ఈక్వాలిటీలో మనం ఉన్నాం? ఎకనామిక్ లో కానీ, సోషల్లీ కానీ, పొలిటికల్ గా కానీ ఆ ఈక్వాలిటీ అనేది ఈ 76 రాజ్యాంగం అన్న తర్వాత కూడా ఎక్కడున్నాం మనం అనే ప్రశ్న వేసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదా? ఇది సింపుల్ ఇంటెన్షన్. కాబట్టి ఆర్టికల్స్ మీరు ఏం చెప్పారు? ఆర్టికల్ 38 and 39 మీరు ఏం చెప్పారు ఆర్టికల్స్ ద్వారా? అంటే ఈ దేశ ప్రజల మధ్య ఎలాంటి ఆర్థిక అసమానతలు, వ్యత్యాసాలు లేకుండా మోనోపలీస్ అంటే ఎక్కువ ధనవంతులు ఎక్కువ ఉండటం కానీ పేదలు ఎక్కువ ఉన్నటువంటి ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ లేకుండా మేము చేస్తామనేటువంటి రాజ్యాంగం ప్రజలకు హామీ ఇచ్చింది కదా, మరి ఆ హామీ ఏమైందని అడగాల్సిన హక్కు ప్రజలకు లేదా? మీరు లెఫ్టా రైటా మాకు సంబంధం లేదు. ఇది పీపుల్స్ యొక్క ఒక మేనిఫెస్టో, ద మేనిఫెస్టో ఆఫ్ ద పీపుల్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఈజ్. కాబట్టి ప్రజలు వారు అడగాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, ఓ రాజకీయ పార్టీలారా, ఓ బ్యూరోక్రాటిస్టులారా, ఓ ఇంటలెక్చువల్లారా, మాకు రాజ్యాంగం అనేది ఒక మేనిఫెస్టో ఇచ్చింది, మీరు హామీ ఇచ్చారు. మీరు ఇచ్చిన హామీలు ఈ 76 years తర్వాత పరిస్థితి ఏంటంటే అడగాల్సిన అవసరం లేదా? కాబట్టి సోషలిస్ట్ అనేటటువంటి పదము 76 లో 42 రాజ్యాంగ సవరణ ద్వారా చొప్పించారా, జరిగారా అనేది కాదు. రాజ్యాంగం ఏం చెప్పింది, రాజ్యాంగం యొక్క ఐడియాస్ ఏంటి, రాజ్యాంగం యొక్క బేసిక్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఏంటి అనేది ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఆ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆధారంగా నాట్ ఓన్లీ ఎకనామిక్ రిఫార్మ్స్ స్టార్టింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది ఈ దేశంలో అనే దాన్ని ప్రజలు తెలుసుకోవాలి. ఆ రకమైన డెలిబరేట్స్ జరగాలనేటువంటి ఒక ఇంటెన్షన్ తోని మేము ఈ సెమినార్ టాపిక్ ను ఎంపిక చేసుకున్నాం. రెండో విషయం, సెక్యులర్ అనే పదాన్ని కూడా ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో పెడుతున్నారు. అది కూడా రాజ్యాంగం స్టార్టింగ్ లో లేదు అన్నమాట. మీరు చూడండి, ఇండియన్ రూలింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ అశోక టు టిల్, భారతదేశంలో రాజులు ఏ మతాన్ని అవలంబించినప్పటికీ కూడా ఇతర మతాన్ని మనం ద్వేషించలేదు. దిస్ ఇస్ ఇండియన్ హిస్టరీ. ఒక్క ముస్లిం రాజు మాత్రమే జిజియా అనేటటువంటి ఒక ప్రత్యేక పన్ను తప్ప ఇంక్లూడింగ్ ముస్లిం రూలర్స్ కూడా ఇతర మతాలని వాళ్ళెవరు కూడా నిషేధించలే, ఆ మతాన్ని రాజ్యమతంగా వాళ్ళు ప్రకటించలేదు. ఆ రకమైన ఫ్రీడమ్ ఉంది. ఇది చరిత్ర. కాబట్టి కొత్తగా రాజ్యాంగం అనే చిత్రపటం చేర్చారు, దాన్ని తీసేయాలనేటువంటి చర్చలు పెట్టడం అంటే ఈ దేశ చరిత్రను మీరు కావాలని తెరవడం అవుతుంది. అలా చేసే వాళ్ళు ఏమవుతారు? కాబట్టి నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే, ఈ దేశ చరిత్ర ప్రకారము, రాజ్యాంగం ప్రకారము ఏమి అనుకున్నాం, ఏమి హామీలు ఇచ్చారు, ఆ హామీల ప్రకారంగా మన దేశంలో రూలింగ్ కానీ సిస్టమ్స్ కానీ అమలవుతున్నాయా లేదా అనేది అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. ఒకవేళ అమలు కాకపోతే ఈ రూలింగ్స్ అంతా ఏమవుతారండి? రాజ్యాంగం అమలు చేయకపోతే వాళ్ళు ఏమన్నా అన్నారు చెప్పండి, వాళ్ళని చెప్పండి. రాజ్యాంగాన్ని అమలు చేయవాలని ఏమన్నా చెప్పండి. అదొకటే కాదు సార్, రాజ్యాంగ వ్యతిరేక రోజులు అన్నారు. సింపుల్. ఇంగ్లాండ్ వాడ, అమెరికా వాడ ఇండియా గురించి చేస్తుంది. ఈ దేశ పౌరులే ఉంది, ఈ దేశానికి పొలిటికల్ పార్టీస్ ఉంది, రాజ్యాంగాన్ని ఎలా వైలేషన్ చేస్తున్నారండి? ఇది రిఫార్మ్స్ కాదు, మీరు జాగ్రత్తగా గమనించండి. 1969 లో ఎంఆర్టీపీ యాక్ట్ వచ్చింది. ఆ ఎంఆర్టీపీ యాక్ట్ యొక్క అర్థం ఏంటంటే, భారతదేశంలో ప్రజల మధ్య ఎకనామిక్ ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీస్ పెరగకూడదు, మోనోపలిస్ పెరగకూడదు ఆ చట్టాన్ని తెచ్చారు. కానీ 1960 నాటికే మనకున్న రిపోర్ట్ ఏంటంటే, అప్పటికే మన దేశంలో ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీస్ పెరగడం ప్రారంభం అయింది. అటువంటి రిఫార్మ్స్. కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ రాజ్యాంగాన్ని పునాది చేసుకొని, ఆ రాజ్యాంగం ఇచ్చిన హామీలు పునాది చేసుకొని, భారతదేశంలో పొలిటికల్ పాలసీస్ ని కానీ, ఎకనామిక్ పాలసీస్ ని కానీ, మొత్తం పాలసీస్ మొత్తం కూడా ఒక అసెస్మెంట్ జరగాలి అనే ఇంటెన్షన్ తో ఈ సెమినార్ అనేది ఉద్దేశించబడింది సార్. అంతేగాని లెఫ్ట్ రైట్ అనే ఎడంతో కాదని దయచేసి అర్థం చేసుకోండి. 4th లార్జెస్ట్ ఎకానమీ అంటున్నారు. వెరీ గుడ్, ఐఎమ్ ప్రౌడ్ ఆఫ్. వాట్ అబౌట్ అవర్ పీపుల్? ప్రజల యొక్క జీవన ప్రమాణాలు ఏంటి? ప్రజలు ఇంకెక్కడ ఏ స్థాయిలో ఉన్నా మన దేశంలో? ఇది వద్దండి సార్, ఈ క్వశ్చన్ మనకు వద్దా? ఈ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూలో మనం కాకుండా లెఫ్ట్ రైట్, నువ్వు లెఫ్ట్ నేను రైట్, ఎవరైతే మాకు ఎందుకండి? సో కాబట్టి మిత్రులారా, అందుకని ఈ సెమినార్ ప్రత్యేకత ఇంకో మాట చెప్పాలి. రైతు చాలా కళాశాలలో సెమినార్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో చాలా జనరల్ గా అందరు పేపర్లు ఇన్వైట్ చేసి చాలా ఒక సెమినార్ లాగా చేస్తున్నారు. కానీ అలా చేయాల్సిన సెమినార్ ని ఈ రాజ్యాంగం యొక్క ఇంపార్టెన్స్ దృష్ట్యా సీరియస్ గానే ఈ సెమినార్ చేయాలనుకున్నాం. ఆయా సెక్టార్ వైజ్ గా దీంట్లో టాపిక్స్ నిర్ణయించుకున్నాం. ఎవరు ఏ దాంట్లో ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్ ఉందో అలాంటి వాళ్ళని స్పీకర్స్ గా రిప్రజెంటేషన్ గా సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నాం. వారితోనే మాత్రమే. అందుకని దీంట్లో డిఫరెంట్ డాక్టర్స్ ఉన్నారు, ప్రజెంటేషన్ వాళ్ళు, లాయర్స్ ఉన్నారు, జర్నలిస్టులు ఉన్నారు, ఎకనామిషియన్స్ ఉన్నారు, ఉమెన్ యాక్టివిస్టులు దీంట్లో రిప్రజెంట్ చేశారు, సోషల్ యాక్టివిస్టులు దీంట్లో రిప్రజెంట్ చేశారు. ఇంత ఒక కాంపోజిషన్, డిఫరెంట్ కాంపోజిషన్, సముద్రమైనటువంటి ఒక కాంపోజిషన్ ఒక ఎకనామిక్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ లో సెమినార్ గా చేయడం అనేది బహుశా అసలు ఈ టాపిక్ మీద నేషనల్ లో ఇలాంటి టాపిక్ తో సెమినార్ జరిగింది నాకైతే తెలియదు. నేనైతే ఇంతవరకు వినలేదు. ఈ రకంగా కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ బేస్ చేసుకొని రిఫార్మ్స్ మీద అసెస్మెంట్ చేసేటటువంటి ఒక సెమినార్ ఇండియాలో జరిగిందా అనేది నాదైతే ఎక్కడ టచ్ కాలేదు. మిగతా వాళ్ళు కూడా దాన్ని ఉంటే పరిశీలన చేయండి. ఇది ఈ సెమినార్ యొక్క ఇంటెన్షన్. ఇది చెప్పాలని నేను మరొకసారి మీ ముందుకు వచ్చాను. నాకు ఇచ్చిన ఈ అవకాశానికి మా ప్రెసిడెంట్ గారు, మా ప్రిన్సిపల్ గారికి
Thank you very much, Professor Patta Venkateshwarlu sir, for your very emotional and insightful address, where you meant there is no talking about left ideology, no talking about right ideology. We have to understand the Constitution clearly, and he has also mentioned in precise about the objective of the Constitution and the seminar. With the background of industrial policies and of course equality in political, social and economical sector. I open the platform for the speakers over here that in any part of the globe, however rich they may be, is it possible to bridge the gap of economic equality anywhere in the world? India is the fourth largest economy. Very updating economy is Chinese economy, where it has very fastly progressed, and it is highest in Asia, and also it is touching America. But is there no inequality in Chinese economy? Well, I'm not from the economic sector, so being in administrative sector, I understand the act, the why the objective of the seminar is being very truly taken care of, but still these questions may be answered by the allied speakers who are going to speak on this occasion. So with huge respect, I call upon Professor Pallavi Kabde, Dean FSS, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, guest of honor, to kindly speak a few words.
Thank you so much. Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, a very good afternoon to one and all. At the outset, I would like to welcome you all because we two are the co-hosts here. In fact, I'm very happy to tell that, to share with our Honorable Chair, Professor Balakrishna sir. As yesterday's Professor Venkat Chapani sir in his presidential remarks has rightly said that these kind of programs are really experimental. Why? Because universities collaborating with the government degree colleges is definitely welcoming, and we have experienced that in the last 2 days. Because here the faculty members from Chanchalguda Government Degree College and faculty of Ambedkar Open University, we have come together and worked for the last 4 days, and we realized that so far we were among our own cocoons, like we were in our own universities and they were in their own colleges. But once when we have come together, we got to know about each other's work, what are the prospects maybe in the future days also we might collaborate, and what kind of works are going on in their college and what works are going on in our college. So these kind of activities, I request the Honorable Chair to kindly encourage such kind of programs because the resources are shared. That is more important, and we are talking about the economic reforms and all. So the resource sharing definitely is, I believe it is growing together. So I am really happy as the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences. I really appreciate and congratulate our Department of Economics for collaborating with Chanchalguda Government Degree College. Since I was there right from the day one of the discussions going on for this conference, and we were very eager and excited to know like how it is going to happen. But definitely, I'm very happy. It went on very smoothly. Anytime, anywhere, teamwork always matters is what I believe. And the team from the other end, from the government degree college in Chanchalguda and BRAOU team have definitely, they have worked very hard to work within the limited resources. So I really appreciate and congratulate on my own behalf and Faculty of Social Sciences and also Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University for such great initiative. And yes, Dr. Naveen and Dr. Venkateshwarlu sir have explained the complete details about the conference, what went on in the different sessions and all yesterday. It's true that right from the independence, we have been hearing about the poverty alleviation programs, housing programs, Garibi Hatao and all these big ages. And even today we're talking about freebies and all. So seminars of this kind must really rethink like what exactly is going wrong, where exactly it is going wrong. And the economists who are present here, they have discussed a lot, they made several deliberations yesterday, and also today we have eminent economist, Professor Revati ma'am here. So such kind of thinking will make us think about the future of our country, is what I believe. And no doubt, there has been a lot of economic development, cities have grew, and the industries have expanded, so has the inequalities also. Now, when the inequalities expand, definitely there is inaccess of the resources, and because of that, there is a huge gap. I picked the point from what Professor Chandra Mukherjee ma'am was saying, that how can we bridge the gap between the inequalities? So one very humble attempt from our end at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, what we are doing is, in recent times, we have observed that our students, 50, we are very proud to say that 50% are almost 50% are from women. Women are from different backgrounds, they are homemakers, they are working, they are, working in the field, colleges, teachers and all. Like we have different women, almost 50%. But, and we have at the same time the students from SC category and minorities and all. We try to analyze the profile of our students, like who is missing, who are behind. Now, why am I telling this point is, Ambedkar Open University fees is very nominal. For graduation, we are 3,500 rupees. So even the less amount, which is that section that is missing from our courses. So when we try to analyze, we found that there are certain categories like Adivasi, primitive tribes, who are missing from the higher education section. So we try to analyze the problem, and our Honorable Vice Chancellor sir made an attempt to sort out this. So sir has announced Samata free shift. Now Samata free shift is a free shift which is offered to the marginalized sections, particularly Adivasis like Gonds, Chenchus, tribes who are from the Adilabad, Khammam, majority of the people in Warangal, Bhadrachalam and all. So these, when the free shift is offered, very interestingly, around 370 students have enrolled themselves who have never been to the higher education. Now the inequalities, when we are talking about the inequalities and unequal access of the resources, see how the inequality affects the education. Now, as Open University faculty, we always try to keep analyzing. What earlier happened is many of the students would stop the education during graduation. Very few come to the higher education, that is for post graduation, because to support their families. Now the trend is changing. Many are dropping at 12th. They want to support their family. Now, so is the economic opportunities, is the markets are expanding or the economic opportunities are, becoming lesser and lesser? So what actually are the reasons for that? So when these 370 primitive tribe students have enrolled our university, on 14th of April, on the occasion of the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Jayanti, we have a very good, huge program at our university, offering a fellowship to the students. So we made teams, like different teachers, around 10 to 15 teachers were made into teams, and we spoke one-to-one to those students. Now, I think many of you will not believe, the phone calls were picked up. Some were saying, I'm at a field. Someone was saying, I'm at job, or I'm a mother, or I'm in a hospital. So there are, different, one lady was saying that I cannot come because I'm doing a job. If I am absent from my work, then probably I might be removed from the job. So all these are interlinked, the economic background, economic aspects and aspirations. So as an academicians, it's our responsibility, and as universities and colleges, as institutions, I feel it's our responsibility to make an attempt to bridge the gap. See, thought process happens, but also, and how do we really try to make a difference in the life of a student also really matters, is what I believe. So with these few words, like I would like to conclude because there are many other speakers also here. I thank every one of you for giving this opportunity, and I hope you all had a very good intellectual time for the last 2 days. And we look forward to see you all again in the next coming days also in different programs. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, Professor Pallavi Kamble, Dean FSS, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, for your encouraging and motivating address. And the college feels truly elated by your words. It gives us true strength, spirit, and confidence to have been collaborated with you. And we have learned a lot of things from you also, ma'am, and your faculty members. Of course, Samata fees is very impressive, launched by the Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. And yesterday, in a meeting attended by our Honorable Chairman of Telangana Council of Higher Education, Sir, and Chief Guest also, we have heard our Principal Secretary, Madam. She has declared a sort of 3% reservation for the orphans also in the forthcoming those admissions. And as a principal of government college, I do understand and we are very much aware about the underprivileged class, how from which background the students are coming, the women students, how they struggle hard to complete their education and continue their education. Madam, your insightful address was really very much helpful, and of course it clears part of the problems which we were talking about. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I'm really delightful to introduce our distinguished guest, Professor E. Revati, Director, Center for Economic and Social Studies, Hyderabad, uh, who happens to be the teacher of our Patta Venkateshwar sir, Professor, and she has taught sir in PG days. Ma'am, I welcome you, and I would like to listen to the teacher who has brought out such a gem of a person in our college. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, President of the session, Professor Chandra Mukherjee, and distinguished chief guest of this day of the valedictory session, Professor Balakrishna Reddy, others on the dais, and also in the audience. I think there's a lot of responsibility put on me. Some of the questions that were raised in the previous session and also in this session, and it's the responsibility to make at least, I'll make a reasonable attempt to clarify some of these. The topic has been thoughtfully selected, as Professor Venkateshwar has elaborated on the intent behind choosing this particular topic for the two-day seminar, and also inviting people from diverse kind of fields. From law, and then from social sciences, and from activists and social sector, health and education, and all this. As we heard the reports from the seminar also, it was we understood that a lot of discussion has happened, very rich discussion has happened, and also the insightful remarks or suggestions that were given by the inaugural speaker also. I know that Mr. Balakrishna Reddy is here, legal expert here, so we would hear more from him on that front. But we know, yes, that Indian Constitution is hailed as a sacred document, and which is upholding democratic values and constitutionally equality of rights, incorporating democratic, secular, and socialist and federal republic. Maybe these words have been joined into the constitution at the later part of the time, but this reflects the diverse society India has, because we all know that India has a diverse society from culturally, from regionally, language, and different aspects. So all this diversity should be coming into this. And it is also influenced by and built on the frameworks borrowed from Western democracies, and where I think we know that the fundamental principles have been, we were inspired by the US and US Constitution Bill of Rights, and then the socialist framework from USSR, one should say, and also the federal provisions India is a federal country that from the Canadian constitution. And of course, the overarching kind of constitution, fraternity, equality, and liberty. So these are all the different dimensions that have come into our formation of the constitution and ushering a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic, of course. So this is where the constitution provisions expose equality to all the citizens and eliminating discrimination on all fronts. Okay, now that this is there, as Venkateshwar has put the manifesto or People's Manifesto to the people of India, what has happened over our journey for the last 75 or 76 years is a mixed picture, of course. We can't say that we had all failures. There are successes, and few successes, failures are also there, achieving constitutional provisions that happen. Now, can we attribute these failures to achieve equitable development to the present democratic system as such? That means, if I put a question that the failures to achieve the constitutional provisions, are they coming from the failure of democracy, or democracy has not been functioning, or is it that how democratic functioning has been twisted or molded by pulls and pressures of vested interests that are there? So the vested interests, people who have taken control of and used these interests for their personal interest. If you look at that, the functioning of the democracy is, one can say that is the kind of twisted kind of democracy, one can say. But also I want to draw your attention to the functioning of democracies in Western countries and India, where there are glaring distinctions. In case of Western democracies, democratic institutions evolved in course of there was a radical social transformation over a long period of time. But in case of India, this was, the democratic institutions that are there here, the legislature, executive, judiciary, electoral system, and then the federal structure, local governments, and all these oversight bodies, they all are functioning within the framework of the constitution, which are there to ensure participatory governance. These are all adopted post-independence. While in Western countries, some of the Western countries have undergone long struggles of, also one can say that long-drawn class struggles have happened before they have gone transition to social democratic countries or social democratic model of development. So that kind of struggle that underwent, that was there, they settled to a social democratic model where governments, especially if we talk about Scandinavian countries or Nordic countries, there it's also capitalism plus role of the state is very high. So there is a compulsory provisioning of social sector, education and health, where the even employment, if you look at 30% of the employment falls into the public sector. But of course, it's a capitalist economy too. So it's a combination of capitalism plus government's role, it is high, and where there is a social democratic model that's there. But in India, also we had a long drawn struggle, freedom struggle, and then we got our independence and freedom and democracy. People have fought for freedom and democracy. And also post-independent countries' agenda for economic development and social justice that was thought to be achieved through development planning. And also, it would be also possible through peaceful democratic means. So I think we have taken this, we widely believe that democracy would become a potent instrument for bringing social transformation. So that's where I think there was, even we have encountered left-wing extremism and all, but in due course of time, I mean, the constitution itself is, I think that's meditational, but constitution itself is, or achieving constitution is the most revolutionary thing that can happen. So, and also we relied on socialism and adopting peaceful and democratic means from Western countries. I think partly borrowed and partly indigenous, because we should not forget Gandhi's Gram Swaraj, decentralized vision of democracy. And then, as the deliberations of the conference also showed, the Nehruvian model of development was in consonance, I think, as I said earlier, the Scandinavian model of development, or Nordic model of development, that is free market capitalism. And again, one more point that's important is high taxation. I think Prabhat Patnaik also raised this point. It's a high taxation of the super rich, the rich. As we see now, I mean, I'll come to that point a little later, that economic reforms have resulted in income inequalities and wealth inequalities. And one of the things that is coming up is to tax the super rich. So how to tax the super rich is important. And also there, it's a kind of a strong collective bargaining also. I mean, in the, where a tripartite arrangement that is there. It's very interesting, that the labor is there, employers are there, and also the government is there, and government makes the policy and sets the wages. So it is setting the stage, and then it all goes on with negotiation. I think this is something like where there is always universal health and education, high social mobility is possible, and low income disparity is there. And a sort of a social contract is there between the rulers and the subjects, so that anybody who comes into the power, it is his or their obligation to perform this, or use this social obligation, or the social contract. Then I also recall, I also relate some of our works that we do at our center, especially regarding this tripartite kind of thing. When we were doing an ILO project, regarding the fundamental principles and rights at work among cotton workers in our state, in Telangana state, where these fundamental principles depends upon our basic 5 pillars are the freedom of association, of recognition of collective bargaining, elimination of forced labor, abolition of child labor, non-discrimination of wages between men and women, and occupation safety and health. So in this kind of a setting, it was that ILO was proposing that there should be a tripartite kind of negotiations between the employers, workers, and the labor department here, where labor department would set adequate wages, minimum adequate wages, and there would be negotiation between the employers and the workers. That is little difficult for us to understand, because we always think that there's a contradiction between employers and workers. But if we can bring them to the table and sit along with negotiations, there may be some kind of a understanding that's there. In this context, we also realize that the problem doesn't lie within that, but the problem lies elsewhere. Because farmers, or cotton farmers, were not willing to, or because mostly wage setting does supply and demand forces, but they were also not willing. They said that if we would have got remunerative prices, then we can pass some of these benefits to the workers. So the problem is not just within the employers and workers, but it is in the markets where, especially in the case of cotton crop, the price is internationally fixed, and there are so much of variations that are there. Yeah, I'll take another 5 minutes or so, and then. So the idea of equality that is there, that's the Indian experience is the point I want to make is that though India has got the constitution, but the social setting is, or norms or social setting is something which is inherited to us. So constitutional equality, can it really function with this kind of a social and economic inequalities that are there. And constitutionally, we all know that Ambedkar also talked about one person, political equality he talked. One person, one vote, one value. But in social and economic spheres, one person, one value is not there. And we all know that persons, there's a weighted kind of importance given for rich people or people belonging to upper caste or people. So as long as the social and economic spheres inequality is there, political equality does not make much sense also. So this was realized by Ambedkar, and he also talked much about how to really bring about that social and economic equality. And and the other point I want to raise, and I'll stop here, that some of the speakers here have raised that economic reforms have come, and China, somebody also raised about China. So China, when it raised its economy to market reforms, it has achieved equality. I mean, it has educationally and health, all people have, all of them were on the similar plane. But when India has opened its reforms, there was still inequality on the social sector, in the social sector. That means education and health inequalities are there. That's the reason why those who were equipped, more educated, could take the benefits of the economic reforms, and then therefore there is a class that has benefited from these economic reforms. So that's the point that's there. And I would only like to conclude that there is so much to achieve studying our, and also to make, as researchers, we all can study what is happening, where violations are happening, and why violations are happening, and how they are happening, and try to address these in different fronts. I think that's where our contribution can be as social scientists and as researchers, because on the field we know what is happening and how these are being violated, and why they are being violated, why minimum wages are not given, why wage discrimination is there, why child labor is there, or why gender inequalities are there, or land rights are not given, equal rights are not given to women. Though all these are there, all these are enshrined rights that are there in the Constitution, going by different articles and all. So these are the things, how do we address it? So the important thing is it's not constitutional rights alone, but the socio-economic setting that's important, and how do we change that? And how do we, as researchers, try to think about or work do more research and bringing the actual reality on the ground, and try to see how they can be addressed and also achieve constitution rights. Thank you for this opportunity.
Professor E. Revati, Madam, distinguished guest. Oh my God, it was highly scholastic, with a very simple explanatory view, with historical evidences from different countries. And how to face the super rich is a matter of concern, which ma'am said, a negotiation between the employer and the workers may be a kind of solution subject to market prices. And yes, ma'am, it was really impressive. And most of the part of the question was solved, I feel. And later, our mighty scholar in legal sector is there to guide us. But if the chief guest sir permits me, can I give my presidential address for 2 minutes? Thank you so much, madam, for your explanation. Also, now kindly bear with me for 2 minutes, because this is a part of the program I don't know very much about scholars like you, but still, I will have to read something which I think is a part of the presidential address. So may I take the permission of the chair? Thank you so much.
Once again, I came before you, respected chief guest of the function, Professor B. Balakrishna Reddy, sir, Chairman, PGCHE Hyderabad, respected guest of honor, Professor Pallavi Kavinan, Dean FSS, Dr. B.M. Ambedkar Open University, respected distinguished guest, Professor E. Revati, Director, Center for Economic and Social Studies, Hyderabad, and our Director, Professor P. Patta Venkateshwar, sir, Second Director, all the scholars who are here, researchers, faculty members, journalists, and from legal field, everyone, my salutations to you on this pleasant evening. It really gives me immense pleasure to preside over the valedictory session of this two-day national seminar on economic reforms and the Indian Constitution, conflicts, contradictions, and ways forward. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Department of Economics, Government Degree College, Chanchalguda, in collaboration with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University for organizing such a timely and intellectually enriching seminar. For the past 2 days, we have witnessed meaningful deliberations, critical insights, and scholarly engagement on a theme that lies at the very intersection of governance, economy, and constitutional morality. The core theme, reflection. Let me say two words about it. Economic reforms in India, particularly since 1991, have undeniably accelerated growth, globalization, and modernization. However, as rightly highlighted in this seminar, these reforms also raise important constitutional questions. Are economic policies aligned with the directive principles of state policy? Do they uphold social justice, equality, and inclusiveness? Or do they at times deepen inequalities and create structural imbalances? The Indian Constitution is not merely a legal document, it is a social contract that envisions a welfare state. Therefore, economic reforms must not only aim at efficiency and growth, but also at equity, dignity, and justice. One of the most thought-provoking aspects discussed here is the inherent tension between market-driven reforms versus welfare obligations, privatization versus public accountability, globalization versus local socio-economic realities. These contradictions are not weaknesses, but reflections of a dynamic democracy striving to balance competing priorities. Way forward, as we move forward, it becomes essential to ensure that economic reforms are constitutionally grounded, promote inclusive growth that reaches the marginalized sections, strengthen institutional mechanisms for accountability, encourage policy making that is participatory and transparent. The way forward lies in harmonizing economic efficiency with constitutional values. That is what was my understanding. You may correct, sir, if I am wrong. I take this opportunity to appreciate all the resource persons, paper presenters, organizers, and participants whose contribution made this seminar a grand success. Special thanks to the organizing committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University and team, and also GDC Chanchalgura for their meticulous planning and execution. In conclusion, let us remember that the true success of economic reform lies not merely in GDP growth, but in how far they uphold the spirit of our constitution and improve the lives of our citizens. I congratulate everyone associated with this seminar and wish that the insights generated here will contribute meaningfully to academic discourse and policy formulation. I thank profusely our chairman, TGCHE, Professor Balakrishna Reddy sir, for going to speak all insightful because after sir speaks, I cannot give him thanks. So thanks in advance sir for giving your precious time here for us. Thank you so much, everyone.
Now, the most awaited moment is the address by the chief guest, Professor V. Balakrishna Reddy sir, Chairman TGCHU Hyderabad. Sir, we look upon you for the important aspects which we have missed. Thank you, sir.
Good evening to one and all. Respected dignitaries on the dais, faculty members, some of the scholars also are here. So good evening to one and all. So being a chief guest, the last speaker, do you left anything for me? And my first question is, but anyhow, so I just last 1 hour I was hearing about the conference theme and also the kind of presentations happened for last 2 days. Definitely commendable, and I want to congratulate the organizers for choosing the topic of topical importance. Definitely, it's combining reforms with inclusion serenity. That's why I want to congratulate them. Reforms and constitution, it's two important aspects. I know I was checking on paper presentations. Mostly focusing on India, particularly even Russia, just from post-independence to current time, post-liberalization, all these things. But what is the missing thing? Why economic reforms? What went before that, or what is the need for that? Of course, there are maybe because we are living in a globalized, liberalized, interdependent world. That's why we have to look at what's happening elsewhere. That's one point I want to speak few minutes here. When I say you're all economists, okay? So economy or trade is not new to the economy. You all know that. Trade was there, is going to be there, but the kind of modus operandi is changing. That is what we all have to. When I say trade, economics, or commercial transactions, part of humanity. So way back to the centuries, if you look at, as a student of law, I can tell you, first formal agreement relating to trade was happened way back in 14th century BC with the, Egypt, with Scandinavian countries like there are instances that trade was not new. But three important factors when we talk about the reforms are important. We have to take that. I noticed that not much discussion happened. Maybe I'll try to link up that aspect for the seminar. Yes, if you look at the reforms, three things I want to tell you. One is theories. You are all economists. So theories, when I say, are influenced, reforms. What kind of theories whether it's a mercantilism, free trade, protectionism, all these theories which were part and parcel of the economic reforms. When we are talking about that, definitely these theories plays important role. That is one point I want to highlight. Other one is the treaties. Just now I mentioned that treaties are important when we talk about economics, trade, commercial transactions. What kind of treaties, part of the economic reforms, motivated economic reforms, whether it's at international treaties, bilateral treaties, regional treaties, all these are all important, integral part of the reform structure across the globe. Second point. Third point is institutions, particularly when we are talking about the reforms in India, but India is not in isolation. I said just now, again repeating that it's an integral part of the society. Whether right or wrong, different debatable issue, but it's a interdependent word. So the third one, there are institutions which also play an important role, both positive and negative, of course, for economic reforms, including the Bretton Woods institutions. You are all, I'm talking to the economists, so you can understand this language. When I say the institutions, of course, Bretton Woods, of course, we have a colonial trade, all those things happen, I don't want to. But institutions, particularly whether it's a Bretton Woods institution, I mean to say that IMF, you all know that for monetary regulations, the IBRD, or International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, are also what we call World Bank. Of course, it's not a one institution because we are talking about regions. Four important institutions part of the World Bank, whether it's the IFC, International Finance Corporation, IDA, International Development Association. Then we have ICSID, International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, and fourth one is MIGA, that is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. These are all part and parcel of the World Bank, and which is part of the reform process across the globe. Okay? These are institutions, IMF, IBRD. Of course, other institutions, you all know that GATT. I mean to say that GATT. Of course, after Second World War, how economy is important. I want to tell you one thing. Humanity fought, First World War. So a lot of economic destruction and humanity, loss of humanity. Humanity, we created an institution called League of Nations to prevent Second World War. But you all know that Second World War happened, failure of the League of Nations. In the Second World War, again, a lot of economic, because we are talking about economics, so I'm just giving you a lot of economic destruction happened. So that's where humanity, particularly, seeing the consequences of Second World War, particularly, Hiroshima, Nagasaki bombing, all those things, that time, it's not me, Einstein predicted that if Third World War comes, for Fourth World War, humanity has to fight with the other side powers. Of course, today we are in war situation, we know last 40 days what is happening, but it's a distraction to economy. That's we as students of economics who have to concern. So anyhow, this is there, one institution was created. I'm talking about the importance, significance of economics, institutions. One institution, that is United Nations, was created to maintain peace and security. Part of the United Nations, if you look at what are the objectives of the United Nations, it says to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind. Means First World War, Second World War. So this is a kind of thing happened. Of course, they created one institution for peace. But friends, remember 3 institutions for trade or economics. That is what IMF for monetary regulations, IBRD. The ITO supposed to come ITO, but ITO couldn't come. International Trade Organization. In place of ITO, we have hired GATT. GATT was GATT. GATT was a temporary arrangement, stopgap arrangement. Of course, fortunately, unfortunately, it was continued almost 48 years, from 1st January 1948 to 31st December 1994. Because we are talking about reforms. What is happening? Who played what kind of role? That is very, because India is also an important player in this. So this is what GATT, and of course today you have WTO. Part of that reforms. When we talk about WTO, I say WTO is also important institution in this process. Whether WTO is right, whether participation of India is right, I am not going to. But today, 97% of the global trade is part of the WTO, having 165 or 66 countries to correct it. So that is what these institutions played. Economic reforms are part of that. This is one point I want to make. Coming to the second aspect, that is again core aspect. As a student of law, I like that is the Constitution. Of course, why when we talk about economic reforms in India, what is the need to talk about constitution? What is the, constitution? As I again, now person, wherever I go, I say two things. Of course, today I'm adding third one also. One is ignorance of law is no excuse. You know that, whether you are economist or scientist or bureaucrat, whatever. So ignorance of law is no excuse. Second thing is ignorance of constitution is no excuse. Why? Coming to the topic. Why ignorance of constitution is no excuse? Can anybody? Because constitution is the fundamental law of the land. Basic law of the land. All laws comes from emanates from originates from the constitution. That's why we as citizens have to have ID. Yes, lot of social problems, gender inequality, all those things, discussion happened. The reason for that is we don't know what kind of rights we have. Once we know that, then we can, claim that. That's why ignorance of constitution, ignorance of law, no excuse. We are ignoring. That's why we are unable to achieve whatever we have. So this is, of course, coming to the constitution, Indian constitution. Lot of discussions happened. I don't want to. But what is the beauty? What is the uniqueness of Indian constitution? Yes, ignorance of constitution is no excuse. That's why we studied. Every one of us studied constitution. Yes or no? Yes, because we studied, we are all crossed 10th class now. That's why, all social science, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all we have done. Because that is the significance of, Indian constitution. Definitely. But of course, constitutionalism, constitutional philosophy, I'm not going through that, But what is the uniqueness of Indian constitution? I told we can't afford to ignore the constitution. This small question I'm asking. What is the uniqueness of Indian constitution compared to world constitution? Because last 2 days you debated, discussed, constitution, part of the force reforms. Yes? Can I know from you all, what is the uniqueness?
Largest constitution.
Oh, excellent. Largest or bulkiest or biggest, I don't know, but I'm not English person. Yes. Next question comes. Okay. I got the point. Can anybody update the constitution today? Because the constitution is a living document. So constitution has to law. Generally we say that, has to change according to the changing socio-economic political conditions of the society. It is true with constitution. Constitution has to change according to the changing societal needs. When constitution happened in 50s, different things. When today we are in, 26, things are different. That's why it has to change according to the changing times. So that's update. Can anybody tell updation of constitution? Because it's a small thing, I know, but it has a benefit. Because some of the provisions deal with reforms. Already, whether it's again preamble to Article 38, Article 39, and of course Article 299 is a very important article when we talk about reforms economics. Can anybody in this gathering, all intellectuals, and I myself, yes?
That constitution is not creating any problems. The people are creating
No,
problems.
I'm not talking about the constitution. Did I say constitution created a problem? Understand me. I told you.
There is a need of amendment of the constitution.
That's what I explained. I told you there are 100 and plus amendments are there. Why amendment is required? Changing times. Okay. Yes.
That is basic structure cannot be changed. That's
I know, sir. Basic structure change or not. We have a Gorakhnath case, Ananda Bharati, case. But there are some cases says that preamble is part of the all. So my basic question is, what is the update of constitution? Because we are talking about constitution. Any idea? Huh? Idea? You told largest constitution. I agree.
dynamic.
Technology is definitely important. Such technology. My question is the problem with Revati Madam was talking about constitution, particularly. She narrated how Indian constitution, good things, we borrow. Some, lighter way, some, critics says that Indian constitution is a bag of borrowings. Yes, definitely we borrowed a lot of things from a lot of constitution. But what is that? How many articles, how many schedules, how many parts? Because general things have nothing to do with this, but there is a meaning, asking about that.
It is a transformative nature.
I agree, sir. That's what I told you. There is no doubt you are right. But can anybody give updation about the constitution, because it's the fundamental law? We all have to know the law. I'm asking you. Okay, get anybody? Okay, very good. Okay. Right? Okay, originally it was 395 articles, 8 schedules, and all those, but today, being a dynamic nature, definitely varies from books to books, but today we have 25 parts, okay, 12 schedules, and 448 articles, some books is definitely I agree, and of course more than 100 amendments. This is 100 amendments. This is what generally, that is the purpose, because being a, but do we record all these things? Of course, why I said is being a fundamental law. So whatever the discussion we happens, today we are talking about economic reforms. What are the provisions which deal with economic aspect? That's the point I want to convey here, the constitution. So coming to the third aspect, of course. So since just now I said constitution is we can't afford to ignore constitution. What kind of efforts we are making in the higher education system, friends? I am happy to share this. This is important for me. Okay, so last part, what kind of things we are higher education? Yes, I represent. I know here 20 lakh students. I say 2 lakh faculty members. Almost 20 universities. That's my family size. I know of course problems also there. That's different. So coming to the what kind of reforms we are making? So ma'am, you said the inclusiveness, part of the Ambedkar University, but definitely I can tell you what is the object, of Higher Education Council. Higher education at the doorsteps of the needy is affordable cost without compromising quality. Affordability, accessibility, quality, equity, inclusiveness, that is very important, and institutions like Dr. Ambedkar Open University is giving that inclusive education, we appreciate that. So this is what I know. Coming back to the my point, yes, not that we speak, we go, but Higher Education Council is very serious. Yes, here today, higher education is facing a lot of challenges. As a professor, I don't hide anything. We are having a lot of challenges when we talk about higher education, because you are all part of my family. We are all facing problems. That's why in 1 minute I want to spend for that. So we are having a problems. Universities today, recruitment is a problem, infrastructure is a problem, all those things. But in spite of that, today, in one sentence I say, higher education is in vicious circle. Yes, but we can't say that it's vicious circle. We can't go on continuing. So if we are to cut that vicious circle, where to start? What kind of initiation we can take? Of course, I'm happy to share with you. Last 1 year plus, Higher Education Council is trying bit. I'm not saying that overnight reforms won't happen, but if we are to make the reforms, where to start? If we are to cut the circle, vicious circle, where to enter the curriculum revision. I'm happy to share with you all. Lot of curriculum reforms are happening, keeping in view of the whether it's the technology. Today we have to have a multidisciplinary course. Okay, once student of whether it's a BA, BSc, BCom, all have to have an idea about multidisciplinary. When I say multidisciplinary, technology is integral part of this. Today are regulatory bodies. When we talk about higher education, always I'm reminded by my bosses. When I say boss, regulatory bodies, whether it's the UGC, whether it's the Bar Council, whether it's a Pharma Council, whether it's a Medical Council, whether it's the AICT, keeping in view of the regulatory bodies mandates, they mandate that multidisciplinary approach. So, okay, what do we mean by that? How Telangana Council is trying to implement those multidisciplinary. One is definitely technology. Any education system, we have to integrate technology. So technology is, because it's a mandate from the UGC. UGC issued a circular 25th of 25th April 2025, asking the universities to incorporate 20% of the syllabus in sync with technology. Of course, we have the 20, but what I mean to say, the technology is integral part. Then commerce, the management is integral part, law is integral part, and of course research culture. So keeping all these, we are trying, and one happy thing I want to share with you is that one subject, mandatory subject we are putting for all the graduating students is the Constitution. That's why I'm here to say that not that theory, but we are trying to put it a mandatory subject for all. That's the happy thing I want to share with you, that definitely part of the reform process, part of the multidisciplinary approach, part of the interdisciplinary, interdisciplinary, whatever you call it. So this year onwards, we are trying to see that, introduction to law and constitutional law, one paper we are trying to put. This is a message I want to put here, friends. So with this, of course, I can go on, but last 2 days you all tried. I don't want to get you bored again. I don't want to get a signal from president asking sir, all these people tried. So thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.
Sir, I thank profusely the Encyclopedia of Particles and legal documents for giving us so much information, sir. And thank you for your precious time, sir. Now, may I request V. Srinivasulu, GDC Chanchalguda. Oh, sorry. So let us move on to the very respectable and very, what is it? Our great moment, sharing the token of regards and gratitude to our most delightful guest, the chief guest, the guest of honor and distinguished guest. Let us felicitate these mighty scholars.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. As a mark of our deep respect and gratitude, we shall now proceed with a felicitation program to honor our respected dignitaries on the dais. Now I request the seminar directors, Professor Patta Venkateshwara sir, as well as Professor E. Krishna Reddy sir, seminar coordinator. I also request Professor Pallavi Kapde Madam, Dean Faculty of Social Sciences, to kindly join this program to facilitate our guest today. Yeah. Now it's the time to facilitate our guest. I request now it's time to felicitate our distinguished guest, Professor E. Revati Madam. Please take a round of applause. Time to facilitate the president of the session today, Professor Chandra Mukherjee Madam, Principal, JDC, Central Madam. Yeah.
Now, may I request V. Srinivasulu, sir, GDC Chanchalguda, to kindly express the words of thanks.
So thanks to Fox and the Indian Constitution. Education. Also, it can, it was thanks to Srisha, with the team for financial support for this town, nations and now. We are looking for gratitude to all the thanks to the person, the Professor Edwin Director, Supervisor. Yes. Thank you for state leader. Country. పార్టీ అన్నమూర్తి గారు Coming to our thanks to Krishna garu, Krishna coordinator, it was funded in the university, and everyone and RC, electronic and print media. Especially our thanks to staff and students of Virginia Canada and GDC, IPGC, and College, for their participation. And finally, thank you very much for this seminar successful.